Elstree, 1976. It's a documentary made by Kickstarter. Kickstarter funded this documentary. This guy, John Spira, he wrote, he directed it. It's basically, the premise is, it's a lot of the extras, bit part characters from the original 1977 Star Wars film, talking about their experiences before, during and after the film. Now the reason that I'm talking about this is because me, Val, Vince, has not seen Adam for a while, not spoken to him for a while. We normally have these good head-to-heads when we're at work and when we're out and about, when we're doing podcast filming. We haven't had an head-to-head for ages. So this description review, if you like, for the Elstree thing is for Adam. It's me talking to Adam, so I've got to pretend that this camera is Adam, which is weird because my camera hasn't got a beard. My phone doesn't have a beard, which is a bit bizarre, but I will try my very best. Anyway, Elstree 1976, like I said, Kickstarter funded. It only made 42 grand. It is a documentary. It's quite interesting. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit out there. And it gives you a little bit more sort of background on these extra characters and what's sort of happened to them. And it's amazing. You've got about 7 or 8, 9 different people. I think one guy's called Derek Lyons. David Prowse is on there. Another guy, Paul Blake, who I think might have been Greedo, but I'm not too sure. Boba Fett bloke, Jeremy Summit, he's on there. And they're basically just sound bites. It's little sound bites of each of these 7, 8, 9 different people who are in the original Star Wars. One of them was there at the ceremonial thing at the end of the film when they're getting their medals, and they sort of pause the little clip. There's not many clips of the film. They do like a little gif of where you can see him for half a second. He's standing there giving the medal to Leia. And it's just, so it talks about these people. They're sitting there and they're talking to the camera, a little soundbite, and they say, I was working as this, I was working as that. It tells you how they all got into the film, most of them by accident. Some of them had done a little bit of extra work. They signed up for casting things. One bloke said he followed an arrow down an alleyway to this casting room, said, yeah, I've come to sign up. And they put him as an extra, and they said, yeah, you're going off to Elstree to film this bit. And he said he walks in, there's a Millennium Falcon. Didn't know what it was, all plastic. Some of them were stormtroopers. One of the blokes, he says, I can't remember his name, that one. He says that he's the guy. Now, all you Star Wars aficionados know this. In the original Star Wars film, there's a bit where the door comes up and one of the stormtroopers hits his head. They kept it in the film where he doesn't even have spikes, and he says that's him. But he also says a lot of actors say that that's them. But he's saying it's him. I believe him, to be honest. I've got no reason to not believe him. Why be on a programme and pretend to be someone that you're not? One of the other guys on there is the one where Obi-Wan does the mind trick on him. He's like the sand stormtrooper with the orange thing, and he says, these aren't the droids you're looking for. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Move along. That's him. He's on it. As I said, Boba Fett, who isn't, to my knowledge, in the original Star Wars film, but he's on. He comes into it a little bit later. So I'll come to him in a minute because I do like the after effects that it's had on all of their lives. David Prowse is on, still bitter, still angry. Obviously they cut his voice. They showed the famous clip where it's him doing the line. Then they showed it with James Earl Jones' voice doing the line. He's still bitter. He says apparently he's banned from the Disney Star Wars conventions. There's 2 per year that he's not allowed to go to. He's had fallouts with George Lucas, you know. I think it's quite well documented that he's had a big fallout for him. He's basically a bloke in a suit, which a lot of them are. A lot of them stormtroopers. Greedo's there. His name was, it might have been, I don't know. I can't remember all their names. There was a Jeremy, there was a Paul, there was whatever. But the guy who plays Greedo, brilliant. He describes exactly how he got shot, who shot first. That they basically filmed him getting shot. Then they cut to a dummy getting blown up. And then they put the suit from the dummy that had been blown up back on him. He slumps forward on the table and they pour acid onto the coat. So it still smokes while he's in the coat. This is how things were done in 1976. So he's on it. Greedo, obviously a world famous Star Wars character, a big name. So they're all just sitting there talking about their experiences, how they got there before, what they were doing. There's a lady who's literally in the cantina scene at Mos Eisley. She's in it for like 1 second and they pause it on that exact bit and she's talking about what she'd done. She'd done a couple of other films. And then there's this one guy, I remember his name, Derek Lyons. Yeah, he's gone through it, the boy. He thinks he's a celebrity, but he's not. Yeah, and it says how much it affected his life. I think it played a few tricks up here. But he's done a lot of films. He's been in they showed him in Indiana Jones. They showed him in Kroll. They showed him in, I can't even remember the list of films. But he got quite an impressive list. There's very little, not even talking parts. One of the X-Wing pilots is there when they go and attack the Death Star. He basically sitting there saying that his script, they had to sit in the same cockpit. They all had the same cockpit. Every single shot of someone in a cockpit of a spaceship, it's the same cockpit. And when they all get in and had to do it, George Lucas said to them, do you know your lines, do them in sequence, and that's it, they film. He said, I couldn't remember my lines. He said, so they taped them, or they put them on his knees, they put them on his legs, and they showed the clip, and he said, I'm not even acting, I'm reading the lines out. And because he'd said that, it made it seem like he's reading the lines out. So next time I watch it, I'm going to have to watch it today for that bit to say he's reading them. So it was very interesting. I might sound a little bit hypo about how good it was. It wasn't an amazing film. It's very well done. You know, it's 7-8 people in their front rooms, whatever, talking about how it affected their life, what they were doing, what they've done since. They've all gone on to still do extra work. But the other thing is the money spinning thing for all. I mean, one of them's been in Crossroads and stuff like that. Crossroads, for you American 8 viewers, was a British soap back in the 70s and the 80s. That's not with us anymore. But they've all gone on to do bits and pieces here and there. But the one thing they do, a lot of them, but one guy wasn't comfortable, is the conventions. There's conventions every bleeding week, it seems. Comic Cons and all that, huge in America. They go over to America, they go to them here. And they're making money by selling their autographs. You know, Greedo is making a fortune, and this is where Boba Fett comes in. He is the biggest draw, apart from David Prowse, Darth Vader obviously, and apart from Kenny Baker, may he rest in peace. The biggest draw at these conventions is Boba Fett. Everyone loves a bit of Boba Fett. Jeremy Bullock, his name, he's a really, really nice guy. Came across as nice. It's how he makes his living, going to these conventions. Then he gets paid to go to them. And I think they charge for their autograph as well. But his queue's as big as R2-D2's, and it's as big as Darth Vader's. The other people, Greedo, he'll have 20 people in his queue. And the woman who's the alien, she gets 20 people over the 2 days. But it's what they do. This is how they make their money now. And they say how it has an effect on them. But one guy, I don't know if he was the Stormtrooper guy or whatever one he was, one of these extras who's in it for like half a second. He basically came out of the game and set up this educational book thing that he wrote and whatever, it goes around the schools. He's into Marvel stuff, and he said back in about sort of 1995, 2000, he was in a comic shop because he wanted to see if they still done Marvel comics. You know, he's out of the game, he didn't have the internet as much then and whatever, blah, blah, blah. He's talking in a comic shop and says, just chatting, not showing off. He said, I don't tell anyone I was in Star Wars. And he says to this guy, have you got the Marvel comics? They get chatting, I was in Star Wars. So the guy in the shop says, you need to get to the so-and-so convention in a couple of weeks. You'll make a fortune. You'll be able to get your people all come up. He said, so he went. He reluctantly went. And he couldn't believe what he was seeing. He said, these people were going mad for it. He's a bloke in a bleeding white suit. And they're queuing up, paying him to have his autograph. However, the downside was, he said that a lot of the other extras, and I don't think he was necessarily referring to those that were in this Elstree 1976 documentary film. He's saying that they were like sneering at him, saying, well, I had a talking part, I had one line, and here's you. You was just in that's what he was. He was one of the pilots, but in the scene where they're describing the plans how they're going to blow up the Death Star, he's in that for like half a second. And they sneered at him, and they made it uncomfortable, and they were nasty to him. So he said, I've done it for 2 years and I stopped. And now he does his school stuff again, and he's happy as Larry. But the rest of them, they love it. David Prowse basically says he makes his money from going to conventions, apart from the Disney ones, which he's banned from, for, as we know, reasons that is an ongoing, long-running feud between himself and George Lucas and what have you, because of the talking thing and what have you. Even though he accepts, you know, James L. Jones was brilliant as the voice, he's very bitter, and you can see he's talking through gritted teeth a little bit in something. But listen, mate, this is for you, this review. Anyone who wants to watch it, thumbs up, subscribe to Adam and Val. But this review is from Val to Adam, because I ain't seen him. So there you go, a little bit of background. It's worth a watch. It's about an hour and a half, maybe a tad too long. Probably a 6 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10. Because it's not about, oh, this is how we film this bit, this is how we film that bit. It's just about normal people like us, that of how they've got onto an extra. It almost makes you want to be an extra. Because, you know, they had lunch with these people, they were standing in for their lines during rehearsals, things like that, costume fitting, standing in the background to get the camera shot right. They used these extras and these big part characters, so they got a massive, massive experience from it. But some of them, like this Derek Lyons, who is, if he watches this, I'm sorry if I offend you, Derek, but I couldn't put my finger on what was quite wrong with you. I hope you're okay, but he seemed to take it a lot more seriously than anybody else, the before, the during and the after. But he's not a show-off. He's not saying, I'm a famous actor, look at me. And he says that. He doesn't want to be a celebrity. He wants to be a bit part actor. One of the other guys wants to be a musician, but he likes the process of making films. Not acting, but making films. And he wants to make a bit more money. So it's very good seeing it from a different sort of perspective. Worth a watch, 6.5 out of 10. Worth a watch if you've got a rainy day and nothing else to watch. All right, son, I will catch up with you later. Everyone else, don't forget to subscribe. Like I said, give us a thumbs up, give us a comment. Nice or bad, we don't mind. and we'll have something new and exciting for you very soon. But this has been Star Wars Elstree 1976 documentary. Watch it. It was funded by Kickstarter. That's amazing. It's this list at the end. Every single person who donated, be it $1 or 20p or a monkey, every single person's name's on it, and the list, that makes the film about an hour and 40 minutes because of the list of the people that have donated. So fair play to them for getting the money through Kickstarter. Hope you enjoy it.